Pete said, well, I like the city view too. And so he said, I want to see your city view. So they went up the stairs.
The grandson and Pete, and Pete had the baby.
The grandson, Pete, and the baby.
Joni Lamb just dropped a bombshell revelation that no one saw coming. While we've already heard Jonathan and Suzy Lamb's side of the story, there's a crucial missing piece, a shocking detail about what happened with her 5-year-old daughter when Pete was in the room. This revelation is so significant that Julie Roy, who initially published an article and investigation on the matter, might even reconsider and retract her statements. And here's the twist. Rachel Lamb, Joni Lamb's own daughter, has confirmed parts of these details. What's really going on? Today, we're diving into both sides of the story to uncover the truth. Let's get into it.
Pete said, well, I like the city view too. And so he said, I want to see your city view. So they went up the stairs.
The grandson and Pete, and Pete had the baby.
The grandson, Pete, and the baby. Now, all those details have been left out.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they went up the steps, and again, I was there. I heard this whole conversation. And around the same time, or maybe just a few minutes after, I don't know exactly when, but my granddaughter went up to the room and went over to her side while Pete and the baby and my grandson were looking out the window at the city view.
Okay.
And she proceeded to put her bathing suit on. Well, about the time she started to put it on, Jonathan comes running up the stairs.
Her dad.
And says, what are you doing in here while she's changing? What are you doing? And Pete was like, well, I'm sorry. I don't even know if he actually saw anything.
Because he had his back to her.
Because he was holding the baby and the 8-year-old was there. So he said, I'm so sorry, and left.
So what were you saying, Jonathan? Like just the difference, the discrepancy in sort of how your mom's making it sound?
Joni Lamb offers her perspective, framing the incident as a misunderstanding. Here's her account. It began when Pete complimented the city view, expressing how much he liked it. Her grandson then chimed in, eager to show Pete the view from a room upstairs. Pete, holding the baby, followed the grandson to the upstairs window. Around the same time, Joni's granddaughter entered the room to change into her bathing suit. According to Joni, Pete and the grandson were still focused on the window, with Pete holding the baby. She emphasizes that Pete's back was turned to the granddaughter as she began changing. Then, Jonathan Lamb, the child's father, entered the room and was immediately alarmed by the situation. He questioned why Pete was present while his daughter was changing. Pete apologized, explaining he hadn't realized what was happening. Joni maintains that Pete didn't see anything inappropriate and argues the situation was a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. She defends Pete, stating his actions were innocent and lacked any ill intent. Joni also points out that key details such as Pete holding the baby and the grandson being present are often omitted when the event is recounted. Now, let's turn to Jonathan's version of what happened.
Yeah, so she basically changed the story to where Israel went up with and Ari followed after, when Suzy clearly saw.
So, just to clarify, I haven't made any edits here. The cuts in this section are from the original video.
Yeah, so she basically changed the story to where Israel went up with and Ari followed after, when Suzy clearly saw.
So Israel and Ari are sharing a room. He has his bunk and she has hers, and they know, when the other one's changing, just look away. So Israel's on his little device. He's in his bunk, not paying attention. And that's when Ariel came and starts changing. And that's when followed immediately. He goes, and started following her. So Joni's story, none of those women at that table were witness. She was not there. Joni and Marcus were down in the basement. So her and Rachel and Pete have concocted this fake story, and they're going to run with it. I was in the kitchen.
What happened in the kitchen when they followed up? Yes. I was in the bathroom of our room brushing my teeth when Suzy came to me and said, hey, just followed Ari up to go get her while she was going to change into her swimsuit. So
And
led me
that
to
wasn't
force run
cool.
upstairs.
Yeah.
No. I mean, her alarm bells went off. I knew immediately in my spirit like something was off, and I literally ran as fast as I could to get up there.
Jonathan highlights a significant discrepancy between his account of the events and his mother's. He explains that his mother altered the story, suggesting that his daughter and the boy, Israel, were involved in a situation where Pete allegedly followed his daughter upstairs. However, Jonathan clarifies that Israel, the young boy, and his daughter were simply sharing a room. Israel was on his device and not paying attention while his daughter was changing. Jonathan emphasizes that when his daughter began changing, Pete immediately followed her, which he found deeply concerning. He stresses that his mother, Joanie, and others were not present when this occurred, and therefore could not have witnessed the events. According to Jonathan, Joanie, Pete, and Rachel fabricated a story to explain the situation. Jonathan recalls how Suzy came to him after Pete followed his daughter upstairs as she was about to change. The moment Suzy informed him of this, Jonathan's instincts kicked in, and he immediately sensed something was wrong. Trusting his gut, he rushed upstairs to intervene. He reiterates that his mother was not there and had no first-hand knowledge of what happened, casting doubt on her version of the story.
If you take it back to 2020, when it was where no one denied that the police did an investigation at the school, because at that point, someone at Daystar was not even a consideration. I would never go there. I did not want anyone to be guilty there. So I was constantly asking my daughter, my child, was it a boy? Was it at school? We kept texting the family, trying to figure out who it could be. She kept going along with everything I asked her. She's 5 years old. So at that point in 2020, even though there were suspicious things, I did not 100% didn't let my mind go there at all. I truly focused on the school. When the police shut the case on the school, I was actually very disappointed because it left me with no answers, and I wanted answers. So from there, things start building, and more than anything else, the truth is my child's behavior in front of this man. Every time he came around, her body would tighten up. She was terrified. She would hide. The only place she did not want to go was Daystar.
Jonathan's thoughts turned to a past conversation with Rebecca and JW, who had expressed concerns about Pete's behavior. This recollection added to Jonathan's growing unease, especially in light of a 2020 investigation at the school. At the time, Jonathan had been unaware of any issues with Pete. However, his daughter's behavior changed dramatically whenever Pete was around, filling Jonathan with alarm. His daughter would often hide from Pete and exhibit distress whenever he appeared. The situation escalated with a police investigation, which yielded no conclusive results. Nevertheless, after his daughter confided in him about her experiences with Pete, Jonathan's suspicions deepened. He began to notice a pattern of disturbing behavior, including Pete kissing his daughter's neck, which was corroborated by Rebecca and JW. Jonathan's concerns had been simmering beneath the surface, but this revelation brought them to a boil.
And that's how we knew it wasn't the school, because after she told us about the abuse, she didn't have a problem going back to her school. She loved her school, but she did have a problem going to Daystar.
Yeah, the very day we met the teacher, she wanted to stay in school. They are trying to concoct a new story with the process of what that looked like in that short period of time while the police were investigating the school. From there, certain instances started to build up, but I was too terrified to say anything to anyone. That's when Rebecca and JW came to me, and I was shocked that somebody else was also picking up on these things, but they witnessed, him kissing her neck, her body, and they told me this, and I thank God for it. And then Denise was helping the family with other problems, like the other dynamics of the family. It had nothing to do with our child.
So, Denise Boggs, the founder of a healing ministry called Living Waters, was the person Joni Lamb recommended for counseling when Jonathan and Suzy needed help.
And in one session, because I didn't really have drama with anyone, so in my session is when I unexpectedly started open up to Denise about these things. And she started to put things together and she said, well, this sounds like a guilty person. You got to be careful. Let's all pray, because we don't want to point, this is such a horrible accusation. We never want to point fingers at anyone. So God, make it clear. That's it. We didn't have any agenda to prove him guilty or nothing. In fact, we were hoping and praying it would not.
Right, because we knew the massive rift it would cause in the family if it was a family member. So we were obviously very careful to even consider that as an option or a possibility. Like it didn't even enter our minds, like whenever our daughter first told Suzy about the abuse.
It's clear that this situation involves a range of perspectives and emotions. We've heard from both Joni Lamb and Jonathan Lamb, and while their accounts of the events may differ, it's crucial to consider all sides and approach this sensitive topic with care and empathy. What do you think? How should we navigate situations like this, where multiple viewpoints come into play? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. As always, please remember to keep the discussion respectful as we work through these complex issues together. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.